the original Season 3, Episode 10, Phantomesque. This episode brings back both Rebekah and Cole as they find their ways, at least by the end. One chooses to stay, the other ends up kind of being trapped within the city, but both of them make a nice return as Elijah is, of course, technically dead. It starts off with them in the club doing as vampires seem to do in every form of media, dancing in a rave. So they're doing their night thing, and vampires just start dropping left and right, and it, of course, is related to Elijah, who I was surprised this happened because with them transferring him into the pendant, I didn't think it was going to count as him dying at all. It's like, I know he's not in his body, but it was like, I didn't think that that would still technically count. Just, it's magic, so it's like, technically, if he's still alive in any form, I didn't think it would matter. So it turns out it does. He technically died, and everyone from his sideline just drops in this club. So they know that Elijah's in trouble, and they end up returning home. It's like, all right, well, we have to get these roses. That way, none of us can be hit with them and actually killed off. So we just gather them up. No big deal. Problem that ends up becoming a big deal is that Marcel also needs this in order to save Sofya. Tries to take on the Hollow. That just didn't work for him at all. He bites her, and I get even with his abilities as far as being as powerful, or if not more powerful than an original, he still has what I don't know, I guess it was almost like the ultimate form of her vein is like within her body. Maybe it was just magic mixed with her blood or something. I mean, she did create the werewolf curse. I would assume that's a bit more potent, and it would still have a bit of an effect on him. So that ends up screwing him over, and then she basically does like almost a Black Canary scream and knocks him into a post, and he's down for the count. And I was like, wow, that was super fast. And she leaves him alive too. I was kind of surprised that she didn't even bother with him. It was just like in the last episode, she comes back and it's like, whatever, no big deal. So he's good, and he's trying to do everything he can to save Sofya, but he needs those thorns to basically drain all of the dark energy that's coursing through her veins. So he needs this stake. He's kind of going up against Klaus and Rebekah as they're trying to get all of the stakes and destroy them. And of course, Klaus and Klaus and Marcel have their issues. So they bicker, and then Rebekah ends up telling him where the last piece is. He finds it. They ultimately end up coming to an agreement because Rebekah realizes that he's in love with someone, and so that's how she gets the story about Sofya. And it's like, all right, take this, and Klaus is able to kind of let things go. I loved her face during that scene. Like, Klaus, once she asked that question, looked at her, and then it was like, all right, I guess I'm out of this. And then she's kind of looking at Marcel and was like, like, what's you gonna tell me or something? So that was an interesting moment, and odd thing for them, because that's their eternal relationship, is kind of this odd thing where they can always stop each other from doing the craziest of things no matter what. So it comes down to this point where she knows that he's in love with someone else, because that's kind of the look that he would have given if she had been in trouble in the past, which he has in past seasons. So she gives him the stake, and now his plan is to go off and find a way to save Sofya. Everyone else is kind of doing their thing, destroy the other stakes and the thorns, and then we have, of course, Hayley and Freya, as well as Hope, towards like the second half of this episode, trying to save Elijah. Starts off with Freya going through his memories, gets some flashbacks. The first one was actually, I remember, being one of my favorite moments, and because I think that was the first time Elijah like really went nuts in the show. And it was like, he stopped Klaus, and then he just like killed all those other people and was like, nobody hurts my family. He just snapped that lady's neck, and I was like, I remember that. That was a crazy moment. It was a really good scene. But she's going through, and ultimately it's too much for her. She can't go through his mind and sustain the spell. So she, Freya has to get Hope to help her out. Hayley has to be the one to go in. And of course, ultimately she has to go through the red door. And things get really crazy. Like, she ends up being chased down by him, and Hope has to come in, kind of do the ultimate witch thing, and she ends up, saving her own mother. So, definitely just a great show of force for her character once again. And it also happens to cure Elijah at the same point. So, fortunately, his mind is at rest, so they're able to, unless they get a big enough sacrifice, they're going to be able to transfer his spirit from the pendant back into his body. So that's kind of where they're headed now, but it's like, well, either we end up taking out the Hollow, or if push comes to shove, we might have to, get rid of Marcel, because it's not really a choice between our brother and the person you've loved, even if it's for centuries. So we'll see how that ends up playing out, but fortunately, Rebekah comes into play, and she decides that she's going to stay. However, Cole's thing throughout the whole episode, like once he learned about the ancestors, it was like, oh, I can talk to Davina. He tries to talk with the Harvest Girls. They say no. They basically, I don't know why they do this. I mean, at this point, from the years of the Vampire Diaries to the originals, and then especially with the originals, literally centuries worth of experience, they always are like, screw this, I'm gonna bite this witch, and it never works. They're always too far away, and it's just like, nope, and they get the headaches, and then they just snap their necks. I'm like, they just, I mean, how long does it take for you to realize you can't run up on a witch? It never, even with super speed, that never works for them. It has never worked once, so it's like, don't know why he tried it, but of course he gets knocked out. Ultimately, he decided that he wasn't going to stick around, but of course, the Hollow makes her, you know, second appearance. Like, she had her moment in the beginning, and then with Marcel, and then she actually didn't show up until the end, which really surprised me. I thought she was going to have a big role, because it was like her first episode, you know, after coming out of the tree, and it was like, no, she kind of had her little thing where she kills the flowers and stuff in the beginning, then she does it at the end, and is like, hey, you might not want to hurt me, because I might be able to bring Davina back to life. So I don't know what that means, if we'll actually see them somehow defeat the Hollow and Davina actually does end up coming back to life. That'd be very interesting to see how that ultimately plays out. But now he's kind of trapped because, of course, Cole loves Davina. So he's going to do everything that the Hollow wants him to do. And it just makes me curious how this is going to end up playing out with him basically going against his family. Because she's going to want either the thorns, which of course Marcel is the only one that has a stake left. So she's going to find that out, you know, somehow, like, oh, Sofya's alive, so he must have, you know, some thorns left or something. Like, she only needs one, really. So we'll see how that ends up playing out, but he's kind of her prisoner at this point, and they need, you know, this grand sacrifice in order to help Elijah, and they may or may not be able to take out the Hollow, but it was a very good way to end it. We got two characters coming back into the fold, which is great. I can't wait to see what they do with this, especially with Cole actually being under the Hollow's control, because he, of course, wants Davina to be freed. So that's naturally going to lead to some conflict. The next episode seems to be, at least it was mostly focused on Freya and Hayley going after the Hollow, and I don't know what she ends up doing. I don't know if this is going to be a hallucination thing or what, but it seemed like, because I swear I never remembered that guy's name, but it seemed like Hayley's husband, the wolf guy, he comes back. It was like a half a second in the promo where he's like about to stab somebody or something. So I'm going to assume that that has something to do with the Hollow maybe bringing somebody else back to life. I don't know if she could do that because I can't remember exactly how he died. But that could be a part of it. Or it could just be a hallucination thing to try to, you know, get Hayley to, I don't know, you know, maybe kill herself or, you know, fight against Freya or something. But I was like, okay, that should be interesting to see what the Hollow decides to randomly bring about to stop her enemies. But very great episode. We got, like I said, we got to see Hope once again go like super powered. You know, she's like, you know, for anyone who may watch X-Men, she's like the Phoenix of this show at this point, except she doesn't go crazy with her powers. So, you know, she has her moments. It's like, I gotta stop this. Boom, I stopped it. No big deal. So I don't know how far they're gonna push it, but at some point she's gonna, I would have to assume she's got to be the one to ultimately end up destroying the Hollow. But we'll see, you know, how they decide to ultimately do that in the end. They might have to realize we can't do it, but Hope is like ridiculously strong. They might just finally realize that, like, oh crap, she might actually be able to counter the Hollow with her just innate magical abilities because she's insanely tough. So we'll have to wait and see if they decide to, you know, utilize that, which I feel like they will, just because they're doing so much with it. And this is, of course, the first season where she's, you know, actually the young girl and not just the baby. So I feel like they'll utilize that, even if it is just the first time we're seeing her this old. I think they'll utilize it for sure by the end of the season, which, oddly enough, is only 3 episodes away, which really surprised me. Like, seasons have been kind of short this time around, because I was pretty sure that they got like 20 episode seasons before, so this was really weird to me. It's the same with the 100. I was like, I'm pretty sure previous seasons have been like around 20 episodes, so I don't know what that means. Hopefully the ratings are still good on them, you know, shorter episode seasons, but really shocked me. It was like, yeah, we only have 3 episodes left this season. I was like, huh, I thought we had like 10 or something, you know, something like that. But we're close to the end. I'm definitely looking forward to it, especially with the way they kind of ended things out. I would love to see both Rebekah and Cole officially stay on. I don't know if that's really going to be the case. You know, they had the commercial and stuff. Claire Holt's going to be in a new movie, so I feel like that may have been why she wasn't in, you know, early parts of the season. Maybe she was doing the movie. Oddly enough, I heard about, the only first time I heard about that movie was yesterday, because I went to the theaters and I was like, oh crap, that's Claire Holt. So I feel like with that movie being done, maybe we'll get to see her officially return, because that would be really awesome. But I don't know if that's going to be the case, because it's always been that back and forth thing ever since I think she left because she had a child. So we'll see if she officially comes back. That'd be really awesome, because I do love Rebekah as a character. I would love to see Cole. He's always like the enigma of the family. Like there's always some random thing going on with Cole that it's just a random issue. And at this point, it's Davina. That's his recurring thing, is that Davina is that part of him that keeps him away from the rest of his family. But there's always something like that with him. He's always just distant, or there's a legitimate reason, and at this point it's love. So we'll see how that plays out, but I would love to see them both remain as characters, you know, just every episode characters for the next season. That'd be really awesome. But I'm excited for where we're headed for these last 3 episodes. Of course, love this one, like I said. Got to see a lot of good stuff. Not too much from the Hollow, but I think the ending with her kind of made up for her absence in this, because it's like clearly that one move, you know, at the end of the episode is going to kind of set off a real big chain of events for the next 3. So looking forward to that. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts were. And I would love to know your theories on where things are headed with Cole working for the Hollow, how that's going to play out with him going against probably Marcel. Like I said, I assume she's going to want the thorns, and they have all of them except the one stake that they gave to Marcel. And I feel like she's going to figure that out before he's able to save Sofya, or it'll be like in the process of him saving Sofya, he'll save her, and right after it's like, ha, he saved her, which is great for him, but then they end up stealing the thorns back, or something like that, which, you know, it's hard to say. I don't know if Cole would really do that against his own family. That's the hard part, where it's like, I can't really tell if that would happen, but I don't know. They always treat him kind of crappy. Admittedly, he's been treated kind of crappy in the past, so we'll see. That's another one of those things that's always kept him kind of distant. He was kind of treated like the redheaded stepchild, and it was just like, you know, it's gotten better in, you know, basically in this series, but still not perfect. So we'll see how it plays out, but we'd love to know your theories on how Cole's relationship with the Hollow is going to play out for these next 3 episodes. And like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.